Alright, my next project on my pressure washer is going to be a spark plug servicing. It is recommended that you do this every 100 hours of operation or every year. Another time you might want to do it is if your pressure washer isn't starting or is not running well. The tools that you're going to use for this include either a socket or a torque wrench. I'm going to be using a 3/16 inch spark plug socket, which has the rubber inside so it doesn't damage the spark plug. A feeler gauge to check the gap on the spark plug and adjust it if required. And then a few things to clean the spark plug off, such as a small piece of sandpaper, some steel wool, Scotch-Brite pad. I have anti-seize. I'm actually not going to use it on this one, but you might want it if you have a different kind of spark plug. Some dielectric grease, Q-tip, some gloves, just some regular shop towels, and something to hold a little bit of solvent for when you're actually cleaning the spark plug. So looking at the front of the engine, you can see the spark plug wire located here, as well as the spark plug boot. The first thing we're going to do is remove the spark plug boot from the spark plug. And we will now remove the spark plug using the socket set. So before we even start cleaning the spark plug, we're going to inspect it to make sure it's not damaged in any way. If it is damaged, we'll just go buy a new one. This one looks fine. You can check the ceramic portion to make sure it's not cracked, as well as check the electrodes to make sure they're not burnt or pitted. This one has a little bit of carbon buildup, but it's otherwise in good shape. If you do need to buy a new spark plug, normally the spark plug model is written right on the porcelain of the spark plug. So if I wanted to buy a new one, this would be an FF10 by First Fire. If you're unsure, you could also check the manual for your pressure washer. So I'm going to wear gloves for this portion of it because I'm dealing with a petroleum product, solvent you don't want on your hands necessarily. And I'm going to use the steel wool initially just to clean off the threads of the spark plug and get the carbon from around the electrode. And I'm going to then switch over to the Scotch-Brite pad. Okay, now that the carbon is cleaned off the threads, I'm going to clean in between the electrodes with a folded over piece of sandpaper. So the last thing I'm going to do is check the gap on this spark plug and adjust it if necessary. According to the manual, it should be at 0.03 inches. So there's actually too much play in this. It should have a bit of resistance from both sides of the electrode when it is passed through, and it does not. So we'll just use this tool to adjust the gap, so to bring it closer to the electrode. And we'll measure it again. Still a little big. So after a second adjustment, we'll test it one more time. And that's the correct gap, so you just get a little bit of resistance from each side. So now I'm going to put the spark plug back into the pressure washer. As mentioned, I do have anti-seize, but I'm not going to use it just because these threads are so short. There's really not a lot of room to get the anti-seize in there. So really, all I'm going to do now is thread the spark plug back into the spark plug well located here, and then use the torque wrench to torque it down to 10 foot-pounds. The manual doesn't specify an exact torque specification for this. However, it does say not to go above 15 foot-pounds. And finally, we're going to use some dielectric grease on the internal rubber portion of the spark plug boot, making sure that we don't get it onto any of the actual electrical connections. Basically, the metal pieces inside. It's just for the rubber interior. And replace the spark plug boot onto the spark plug. That's all there is to servicing your spark plug. It's absolutely critical to have a clean and properly gapped spark plug to keep your small motor functioning well throughout this season. Thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.